It's halftime. Clemson is winning. They're beating Virginia 17-10 at halftime. It's been a messy game offensively, but we're going to talk about that. At least they're winning right now, and I have a lot more thoughts. Hey, if you're quickly joining me, you're like, hey, who's this man? I'm Brian, and I'm glad you're here. I hope you'll subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Let's talk about the football game. Virginia actually had the lead against Clemson 10-3. The Tigers came back. They used the talent that they have, which is they have a lot more talent than Virginia to regain the lead. We did have a touchdown wiped off the board early on by Clemson with I believe it was ineligible man downfield. But we've seen some good things from Kade. Everything has not been trash. We've seen some good things from Kade. I believe it was the first drive where it looks like he gets swallowed up in the pocket, and then all of a sudden he comes out and he finds Cole Turner. He finds Cole Turner for the reception, and that was a really good play. Of course, that was the same drive where T.J. Moore had the touchdown. It was called back for an eligible man downfield, so you really can't help that one. But right now, and y'all know I take up for Kade, but I'm going to talk about some things that he has to do differently. We saw a wide open Jake Brennenstuhl. By the way, Brennenstuhl, what a player. Just continue to give the ball to him. That's a big deal. I think that's going to continue to fare well for us the more that we get him involved. But he just overthrew him. There we go. Then we saw a play where he threw the ball downfield. It was a long pass. It drew a pass interference. I'm beginning to think that maybe the ball slipped out of his hands. Maybe the release was really weird there. It was too much air under the pass. My buddy Chase Henderson, he texted me. He was like, "Man, he's putting too much air under the pass." But and by the way, I'm going to get to the comment section here in just a second. But that interception that Kade threw right there, get ready for it. That is the worst interception I've ever seen him throw. You'd say, no. The cross-the-body pass against Charleston Southern last year, in my opinion, that one ranked second. And you're like, Brian, are you dumping on? No, I'm not dumping on Kade. I've taken up for the guy, but I'm going to tell you, that was the worst interception. Go back and watch that replay. Virginia is in white uniforms today, right? That was quadruple coverage. The Clemson wide receiver was so covered up in white, he looked like he had laid down in a marshmallow. And Kade still threw the pass. Now, today, Cade's off. He's in his head right now. And this is good. Clemson needs to see that this can still happen to him. You're like, it's good. What do you mean? As I just said, Clemson needs to realize that these tendencies are still there. Because if we're going to make a run to the ACC championship and or the college football playoff, you want this to show up now so we can fix it versus it showing up against Georgia, Bama, Texas, Tennessee if they make it, Oregon, Ohio State. I can keep going. You don't want that happening against them. So a sloppy offensive half. There's some bright spots. Stellato catching the football. He's the leading receiver right now, 4 receptions, 54 yards. So, I mean, there's some good things there. Maffa, 12 carries, 55 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kade, he threw only his 3rd interception of the season, right? So that's a good thing. As I said earlier, last year he had 9 interceptions. That was only his 3rd interception. This is game 7. So I'm going to go over some stats really, really quick. Clemson has 13 first downs to Virginia has 9. Clemson has 224 total yards, 164 of that's in the air, 60s on the ground. Virginia, 128 total yards, 68 in the air, 60 on the ground. Clemson does have the 1 turnover. No turnovers for Virginia. Virginia has had the ball. They've had the ball, for 16 minutes, 33 seconds. Clemson, 13 minutes, 34 seconds. Clemson's 3 of 5 on third down conversion at 60%. And Virginia's 3 of 9. That's 33.33333333%. I love doing that. So what is the difference here? Let's talk about let's before I even do that, let's talk about the good things. I really like the creative play. Second week in a row, they run a reverse to Antonio Williams. He throws the football. Look, that's a great way to get some energy and pumped into the crowd, pumped into the team, some fun, swing the momentum, and it led to a touchdown, and that was great. That was great. I like those types of plays. And right now, this game reminds me a little bit of Wake Forest. Obviously, Virginia is better than Wake Forest. So I'm I know that somebody's going to come in here and say something like, well, he's taking it easy on Tony. Folks, I'm sorry. That's bullcrap. We don't need to be taking it easy on anyone. Clemson's not in a place to afford to take it easy on anyone. Murder them, drag them through the streets, and pile them up on the bodies that you have compiled this past these past 5 games. So I'm hoping to see Clemson really take control of the second half. But, kudos to the defense. Let's talk about something good. Let's talk about the defense. The defense, the defensive front looks pretty doggone solid, right? TJ Parker just drove somebody into Anthony Calandria at the end of the first half. We have to continue to see that. We're seeing some pretty good play out of the linebackers. Barrett Carter jumped up, almost picked off the ball as soon as Calandria let it go. So that's really good. Peter Woods is just he's just laying the lumber, y'all. Yes, pun intended. The guy is just unbelievable. Clemson's front seven is looking pretty good, right? Once again, it's the secondary. We're seeing open receivers. We're seeing open holes. And this is the type of game that you have to fix that stuff. You don't fix that stuff against Oregon. You don't fix that stuff against Miami. You don't fix it against any other legitimate top 10 team. You fix it now against the Virginia Cavaliers. So I'm glad they had their ooey gooey Tony came home moment. But it's time to beat them like the team they are, and they're not a good football team. I don't care if they are 4-2. Let me get to the comments section. I'm going to fly through this. Joe Teal, hope you're awake after this half, Brian. Yes, sir, I sure am. Joe, I'm glad you're in here. Tiger Fan 24, that was gross. V Astro, that was an awful first half, not going to lie. Yep. Dog 34, go Dogs! Jordan Jackson, we should win, but yeah, I'm about to take a nap. This is a snoozer so far. Super sloppy. We're just being gentlemen with this one. We don't need to be gentlemen. We need to drill them. We didn't look bad, but it's just a sloppy game. We look, you know me, I don't call out too many players, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say there's some things that has to tighten up. Apparently, Brainingstool went to the locker room early. Somehow I missed that. Carolina actually looks like a dangerous football team. Yeah, they're drilling Oklahoma right now. Brent Venables will not be the head coach at Oklahoma if he keeps this up. He just got hammered last week in their biggest rivalry of the year. And, he lost by 31. That's not okay. And right now, the Chickens of Columbia, they're hammering. I promise I have not been drinking. They are hammering Oklahoma. They're murdering Oklahoma. It was 21-0 South Carolina. It was 21-0 South Carolina with 7.5 minutes left in the first quarter. It's bad. Anytime we get terrible announcers, I instinctively know we're going to struggle. Yeah, I just hit mute. Good afternoon. Clemson needs to get this win. Tell me about it. Clemson by 3. Turner MVP. I know you're just loving it. Loving it. Reffing is atrocious. Pete, we got Pete in here. Going to skip down in here. Sloppy and disorganized on both sides. We look asleep at the wheel for a top 10 football team. Go Tigers. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with that 100%. Our corners have to be better. Go Tigers. Yes. That's why I say Clemson is a good football team, but not an elite team. What's up with Oklahoma? Tiger too deep. Kade is staying on his initial reads too long. I'm telling you, throwing into quadruple coverage, and it's that close to you can see it. I'm sorry. TJ Moore needs the rock in the second half. They can't stop him. That's right. The guy is unbelievable. The guy is unbelievable. Too many penalties, and these announcers would be great at golf. I have something to talk about that in just a second. It's funny. I hate to say it, but this is not the Clemson team I want to see in the playoffs. You would get drilled. You would get drilled. I mean, I keep talking about this over and over, and people says get past the Georgia win. You may get past it in time. Did you actually get past it and grow from it? I mean, this is game number 7, folks. We can go ahead and get the excuses out the door. Make Williams QB. Wrestler Weekly $2.99 super sticker. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Wrestler Weekly. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. And folks, I hope you've at least subscribed. Remember, it is free, and the channel's blowing up, so it's because of y'all. Thank you so much. Let me see. Does Clemson want to win? Yes, John Emery drumming. Yeah, I want them to win. Does that matter? My old buddy Jonathan Emery. We get to play gigs together. It's a fun time. Good friend of mine. Clemson Carolina game is going to be something. I'm telling you, that game's going to be tougher. I live with a Carolina fan. Okay. By the way, talking about terrible announcers. My oldest also pulls for Coastal Carolina. I like Coastal Carolina. I knew that they're not the team that Jamie Chadwell had. Just stick with me here, folks. I promise. I'll get back to Clemson, and then I'm going to end this thing, go play football with my youngest. But he told me, he said, these announcers for this Coastal Carolina game is just, he said, they know nothing about it. And he said, here's how I know. He's like, yeah, C.J. Washington, the running back for them, he's hurt right now, so they're leaning in on Braden Bennett. Folks, Braden Bennett is like the best running back. He's maybe the best player on the entire Coastal Carolina football team. And these announcers are acting like that would be like us saying, well, Haynes can't make it today, so Clemson's going to turn to Phil Maffa. That's the equivalent. It's like, y'all don't know this team at all. So, yeah, these announcers, they can be interested. And you know, sometimes I mess up on certain players who are in or out or this, that, and the other, especially with other teams. But y'all, these guys are paid to know these players, and it just doesn't happen. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's talk about the keys to the second half for Clemson. All right, just clean it up. Cade's in his head right now. Get out of your head, pal. Get out of your head. And if Clemson, for some reason, is taking it easy on Virginia because of Tony, don't. I mean, if you were to somehow lose this game, I mean, Tony can write you a letter of recommendation to get you into the college football playoff, but that's not going to happen. People already think less of you, Clemson, because they still remember week 1, and I do too. And some of you, no matter how drunk you get, you'll remember it as well. My point is Clemson needs to come out in the second half and pour it on. You know, at first they kind of struggled with Wake Forest last week, and then all of a sudden they were like, what are we doing? This is Wake Forest. And they beat them like they were Wake Forest. That's what Clemson needs to do to this Virginia team. Stop with the pleasantries. Cade, stop getting into your head. If there's 15 players from the other team around that wide receiver, probably not a good idea to throw it to him. You know better, man. You've been doing great, and this game is not one of those games. And again, if this was Oregon or Ohio State or Texas, I could say, all right, man, he's facing stiff competition. Y'all, this is the Wahoos of Virginia. Okay? This is not the George Welsh Virginia team with the Barber twins over there picking his giant nose, you know, while he stands over there just staring at the field. No, this is a bad Virginia team, and you need to beat them as such. So just clean up the offensive play, execute. And in the defense secondary, it is your job, namely the corners, it is your job to ensure the other team, the wide receivers, or the tight end, whoever gets loose, whatever your coverage is at that moment, whether it's man, zone, etc., it's your job, your own scholarship, to make sure they don't get the ball. And if you can't handle the Virginia Cavaliers, you won't be able to handle all the real playoff teams. You won't be able to handle Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo and the guys from Miami. Sorry. It's just embarrassment waiting to happen. So pull it together, The coaching staff needs to get this team into a championship mindset right now. Tell them it's over. We're not doing this bull crap anymore. Pull it together. Go out there. Beat them all the way back to Charlottesville and call it. So hopefully we will see that. Well, folks, y'all take care of yourself. I'll try to catch you right after the game. I'm going to go play some football with my 8-year-old. He has a season coming up, and so I'm going to go do that. And, yep, I'll try to see you right after the game. As always, go Tigers.